Now, a little bit faster, he digs under. I come up, I bring him down. Now, I'll collect this arm. Clamp, figure four, finish. So, we're gonna set up the triangle, what it is, especially for Ryan, what it is not, okay? The triangle is an arm in choke. You can do the same thing with your upper body from the mount position. But in this case, we're using the other hemisphere of our body to accomplish this choke. The physiology behind the choke is that we're occluding the left and the right carotid arteries. Not the jugulars, those are veins. Those are the return flow. Though we might be crimping those, we are literally occluding the arteries, the feeding system to the brain, thereby mimicking sudden cardiac arrest. Heart stops, blood stops flowing, brain doesn't get oxygen and sugar, you go unconscious, go into a seizure, you're in cardiac arrest. Well, we're not stopping the heart, we're just clamping off the carotids, making the brain respond as if they're in sudden cardiac arrest, which is why they go unconscious in seconds. If we could get there and occlude those, like if we could just go in there like this and just go and pinch them both, they'd go lights out in like half a second or a second. Your brain has to constantly have circulation. It has to always be circulating. Even a decrease in blood pressure where you're not getting as much blood flow. If it goes beyond a certain percentage, you're gonna go unconscious or dizzy at least. And that's why there's degrees of choke as well. And you'll hear me say, it's a 50% blood choke. It's a 60% blood choke. It's not real effective, but you're occluding some level, and over time, they're gonna feel the results of that, but it's gonna take longer. You're gonna have to hold it longer, which is why technique is so vital. Because if this dude is a 285-pound bruiser with a knife in his hand, I need him to go to sleep right now. So does that help? Just the background of the biophysiology of what a carotid choke is. Sometimes helps us understand why then it's so important to do the actual choke the right way. Because a lot of people will get in here and they'll get here, right? And they're just like, aye, and they're squeezing and the guy's laughing at them. Well, you don't have any occlusion going on, or at least not enough. And if this person's really strong, they might even sweep me over, pass my guard, and get into an advantage position. So I don't want to do that. So we really got to focus on how to set it up. And it's like we talked about, I think last Tuesday, or Thursday rather, when we were doing the crucifix attacking the turtle. It's kind of the same thing. I would rather this individual set himself up for a triangle rather than me having to force power on power, trying to stuff an arm as I jump up into the setup. Why not just wait for him to try to reach back and open my guard and slide him into the triangle? And even if he reaches this arm over and starts to stack, we have ways around this. Okay? We're going to talk about that. It'd be like a triangle sweep. So if we have enough time, we're going to talk about what to do. But today, we're just going to say that we get, however we get it, and we get an arm in and an arm out. That's the principle of a triangle. Some people are really picky and will say, well, look, you'll never finish a triangle if they leave their arm on the same side. Yes, you will. Yeah, you do it all the time. It's not necessary to have that, but boy, does it help. Because once I have this arm in, now his shoulder and deltoid is in the way, and it makes it even worse. So let's assume that we are playing a smart game of jiu-jitsu, and one way or the other, they get an arm in. And it's at that time that I make my move. So in this first phase, this is all we're gonna practice. He's gonna do something, he wasn't thinking straight, he gets an arm underneath my leg, and this is what I wanna see. Isolation of the arm that we're gonna attack. You can use a collar grip, you could use a hand behind the neck, But from here, this is why we work on our core so much. You're going to punch it. We talked about that with the elbow crush. Punching it and moving fast in bursts is not the same as using strength and physicality. Some things have to be done fast. From here, start slow until you get a good handle on it, but it's going to be this. At the same time, my arm out arm is going to get a foot on the hip, while the arm that's under my leg shoots up, and I could drive a bus under my hips. I got to be able to get my hips up as I'm pulling this arm. Now when I come down at the angle of the arm with a short crossover. And I'm leaving lots of space here for him, but also so that you can see the exaggeration. This is just a catch. It's a hold. It's a base camp. We haven't adjusted yet. That's where I want to start. So one more time. He's here. He's going to do a low guard pass. This is where we're at, but I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to bring him into my world. That's it. Release and switch. Switch back and forth. Questions? Phase one. Phase one of a multi-phase. 1, 2, 3. You guys were setting it up really nicely, but some of us had forgotten where to place the foot to be able to get a good leverage to pop up. See, the better your person gets, that's A, the more their posture is going to stay up and they're going to look up. They're going to be harder to get. 2, you could just have a really tall opponent. And so therefore you've got to go up to get them as well. You can't just grab them. They're too tall. So what we saw a little bit is as somebody grabs under your leg, it's this and that. It's this leg begins to follow what he's already doing. He's already pummeling underneath it. That's your signal that it's going to be the one to go over the shoulder. But at the same time, and I'm using this to help me a little bit. It's giving me a grip. I mean, we're in gi. We might as well use the gi. But my opposite foot goes on his hip to be able to be like a step stool, to push my hip up, to clamp down. And then once I'm here, I'm not really ready to finish yet at all. So I don't have to worry about getting a deep bite on this figure 4 yet. I just want to make sure I capture him in. So I'm just clasping my ankles to kind of lock this in. I'm more particular about once he gets his head down here, keeping his head down here. I don't want him, because where the head goes, the body will follow. So if he can start to look up and posture up, he's going to drag me in, which is going to set me up for his strong guard pass. So if I go up and get him, I want my body weight to assist me to bring him down, and then I capture him and keep him. Now we're ready for phase 2. Now this is going to seem really conjugated to begin with, but it's going to fit together nicely. So once again, he comes here, he starts to dig underneath. I shoot up. I'm not using my hands right now so you can focus on my legs, but you grab, hold, drop, hold. Now the fun begins. Now we need to make some adjustments. If we haven't already, I'll explain in just a second. Ideally, the more advanced you get, you will adjust on your way down. You'll fall into your angle. Why wait until he's pressing down on you and now I gotta get into position? It'd be better if I went after him, go ahead, up, boom, I grab, and now I switch the corner and now I'm able to finish it. But for the sake of understanding where we're going with this angle, I'm gonna break it down the wrong way. So once I'm here, we might as well learn old school. I'm gonna shove this arm through. I actually like to shove this arm through for a couple reasons. One, he can't punch me with it now. I don't even have to use my hands. My elbow is keeping this away from him being able to use that as a punch. Because if it's over here, he can still hit me. Might not be real powerful, but it's still a nuisance. So I'm gonna drop it over here and I'm gonna lock it. And now who can do the hitting? So from here, I'm gonna now hold. It's just like when we're climbing the face of a mountain. 3 points of contact. So now I'm gonna switch to this. Tell me if this is getting too tight, okay? Right. I'm holding here to keep his posture down. Now I can let go of this seatbelt. Not before. If this is off, these are on. If this is on, now I can take these off for a minute. But don't forget to keep your knees engaged. Remember we talked about that on Tuesday, I think it was, with the elbow crush. We can unlock our ankles and still keep pressure. And as I keep that pressure, that foot drops to his hip again, and I start my turn. I like to collect the other side of the arm. It gives me a hook to help me go around the corner. I want to look into his ear. Now this clamps down, figure 4, finish the choke. Let's let the blood go back to his brain for a second. Good?
Yep.
So now a little bit faster, he digs under. I come up, I bring him down. Now I start turning the corner. If he begins reaching, which oftentimes they will, I'll collect this arm. Now, once I've gone as far as I could with that foot on the hip, I like to put it on the floor and finish it. Clamp, figure 4, finish. The finish is toes are up, knees are together, heels come down to the ground with a pull of the head. Look at this. I can barely put my hand through that hole, let alone a neck. I thought Mike raised his hand for a second.
No, deliberately I didn't.
So he reaches under, I go up, I catch, I drop here. Once I hold here, he raises this arm up, that's great. I turn the corner. I turn the corner. See, I'm not really going over his shoulders, I'm going straight over his neck. And I'm digging down, figure 4, finish. This is brutal to your training partner, especially if you're going slowly, because you're getting graduations of occlusion, literally. So please, if you start to feel like weird, tap. They can loosen and let the circulation go again. Don't try to be brave. You'll be unconscious. You'll get a good nap. Okay? So watch yourselves. If things start to get a little tunnel or sparkly, tap out. Okay? But ideally, you only do it slow once or twice, and then you can kind of get it sped up. Okay? All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so putting it all together. Putting it all together with a little bonus move. You know, I'm coming in like this. He feels like he's got all that room. Awesome. Nice. Now I come across and I push. And once I've pushed all the way, I push more. Clamp down over the neck. Figure 4 lock up. Can't choke him. I don't know why. They should be able to. Good. Then I'll wrist lock him this way or this way. Or I'll just slip the leg over the head and do a same side armbar. So you've got 4, let's call it 3. Wrist lock, arm lock, choke. But the wrist goes both ways. So however, which way ever they are holding their wrist, you might get a reverse or a forward wrist lock. One more time. So we let them kind of show us how they want to get submitted. They go here. I fall, I get here locked up, I start changing my corner, but he's just, I don't know what's going on, but he's not choking. As soon as he's not choking or tapping out, I can either go to a wrist lock, elbows are in, bracing, I'm catching the top of the hand over the knuckles. I start here on the wrist and the hand, and I slide to the knuckles. Elbows together, a crunch. Then one little short move. Here. This is, by the way, you guys, is your arm okay? Mm-hmm. This is the only time I'm okay with you crossing your legs on an armbar. And for years, I didn't know why. Push your arm through here. You couldn't do this. For years. And I'd say, why can't you do that? Because we don't do that. Like, well, I guess it's unicorn dust, I don't know. It's because if I cross my ankles, I can't keep the weight on their head and they can posture up. If I cross my ankles, when they have the shoulder in the way, it defeats my ability to get heavy on the head. And now, posture up. He can't. For the same reason that they can't posture up when you've turned the corner with the triangle. There's too much pressure on the head, therefore they cannot move their posture. So that's the reason why we don't cross our ankles as long as there's a shoulder in the way. But we get that liberty here from the triangle attempt because there's no shoulder. So in effect, both legs rather, are over the head. And therefore you can cross your ankles if you want. It's not necessary, but you can. And now you can finish with an arm bar. So pretty sweet little move. Now we get to practice 1,000 times in a row to start feeling comfortable with it. And that's the truth. It's your game. It's literally your game. So you've got your length of limbs, you have your size of body, you have your hip flexibility, your timing, all of that stuff. I suggest that whenever you have time and you want to drill it, just drill it technically first, and then quickly start to improve your transition speeds. And then see if you can shave off some of the waste. Like instead of going up and grabbing them and falling straight down and then changing the corner, see if we can't wait for them to dig underneath, shoot up, and turn the corner on the way down and lock up. I saved myself all of that friction and time and energy just by already knowing I want to fall down that direction. Cool? Get some good technical drilling in.